Wait. Tell you.
Okay. Hi, Ben, David, it's wonderful to see you. This is my very first LinkedIn Live, so I actually don't know how this works, and thank goodness I've got the technical genius with me in Ben. I'm Marissa Broom. I am excited beyond belief because I've just come out of our weekly Congress meeting, and we are finally just 2 weeks out from Congress, and we're going to talk to you all about FPA Congress today. It sounds like I'm hyped and eager, but this has been planned since April last year, so it is great to finally be 2 weeks out from delivering what I think is going to be a stellar event. How are you guys both going?
I'm excited, Marissa. I think we've talked off camera before. This is first time in 3 years for a Congress. I think we're going to get around 1,000 people, a chance to meet our peers and our colleagues for the first time from all over. Honestly, that's the most exciting part for me. I've often said the content at Congress has always been great, but it's actually in the gaps when you're having a chat about how are you doing this in your business, or I'm really struggling here. You learn from other people's successes and failures, and to be honest, having the chance to do that with 1,000 people, can't wait.
I couldn't agree more. I think that the value you get about how to manage your practice, how to deliver better advice just by those incidental chats as you walk between rooms or over a gin, in my case, in the welcome reception, they're actually gold. You can't buy that, but just the opportunity, I think, to be in a room with 1,000 of my peers, I cannot believe it. I mean, it's been such a tough few years for lots of reasons, and to have 1,000 of us in the room together will be wonderful.
And I have to share, Marissa, we're worried, would people come back? And they've come back in droves. And so people clearly want this as well. So it's got huge numbers.
Absolutely. And in fact, registration's actually closed next Wednesday. So if you haven't registered yet, please get on and do that, because we're really, really interested to get as many people there as possible. It is in Sydney. It wasn't originally planned to be in Sydney, and we'll be somewhere else next year, but it's great for me because it's my hometown. It's easy for me, and there's lots of accommodation around, and I know that travel can be a bit expensive at the moment, but it's in the middle of the week, so it's going to be pretty flexible about how you get here and what you can do. Probably a few things I'd like to point out is this was built as a Congress for COVID. This was actually cut down when people said, I can't be out of the office, I can only really spare a little bit of time, as a 2-day event. And now people have sort of got back into the normal groove. Things are a little bit easier. And as a result, we've added 2 really exciting workshops on the day before Congress. So it goes back to feeling a little bit more like the normal 3-day event that we run. Ben is the star of one of those. It's the Digital SOA workshop. Not the star?
I wouldn't say I'm the star, Marissa. Fraser Jack is definitely the star of the Video SOA workshop, but this is the 4th time we'll have run this workshop. We did a virtual one earlier in the year where we had about 40 members learn about how to do video SOAs. We have run a session in Sydney with 20 members, and we've run a session in Melbourne with 20 members. And we've got a group of about 80 members now who are out there doing video SOAs with their clients. So no more paper, no more paraplanning, no more 20 hours of making a document that's clients don't read and clients don't engage with. They're recording their meetings like we're recording this now, and simply I recommend you salary sacrifice $200 to superannuation, because that's going to meet your goal of retiring when you want to retire and living the lifestyle you want to live in, and that's it. Like it's not more complicated than that, other than hitting record. So it's going to be great to have. I think we're getting close to. We've got another 20 people. We can take a lot more in the ICC for the session, and it's going to be really interactive and engaging. And Fraser does a great job talking you through the technology, which I know is a worry for some people. It's not. If you can record on your phone, if you can record on your computer, then you can do video SOAs, talking through the regulatory obligations, talking through the compliance issues, talking through what lawyers and PI and compliance people think. So we'll be covering all of that.
Look, Ben, please don't undersell how involved you've been. I know when you first came up with this idea, we all thought you were crazy, and you have just been dedicated to delivering this. So you really do deserve all the kudos for being like a dog with a bone, I guess, but in a nice possible way, to deliver something that really is a value add to members. And the second workshop we've got on the same afternoon is something that I've been quite passionate about, and that's about services to CFPs. And I know, Dave, that's something that's really a board-led initiative. And we've got our inaugural CFP Professional Connect event that'll be on in that afternoon, including some networking that will happen. You see, every time I'm involved in something, there's drinks at the end. So...
Well, it's important. I mean, look, we survey our members and we get feedback, and we are unashamed about really wanting to promote CFPs and to have content just for CFPs at a really high level. If you haven't signed up to it yet, I think get to it, because it's going to be an amazing session with amazing content.
So, are there any particular sessions you're looking forward to going to?
Oh, what I love about Congress is it's all the different streams. So depending on what you want at the time, and you go in thinking these are the sessions I'm going to go to, but halfway through you need a bit of a pick me up. So look, from the pick me up session or the self help, let's call it, Ben Crow's session on day 2. Now I'm not at that level, but I coach a lot of young kids, as you know, Marissa, in various sports and also mentoring staff, and so I'm really keen to learn that side of it, how I can develop that part of me. Is there anything I can pass on to onto the kids I coach, but also the team I have at the office as well, and take that mindset approach to the business and the profession. That's probably day 2. I'm really looking forward to that.
I agree with that. And if those who don't know Ben Crow, he was the mind coach for people like Ash Barty and Dylan Alcott. So I mean, he's really worked at that elite level, but he works with just normal people like us too. And he's got, I couldn't believe how inspiring the session we had briefing him was. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that'll be a great way to finish off 2 or possibly 3 great days for those that can come down. What about you, Ben?
What's your number 1? Come on.
My number 1 or Ben's?
Well, I want yours. What's your number 1?
Look, I'm really excited about all the plenaries, to be honest with you. I got, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I got quite emotional with some of the insights that our plenary speakers came out with. I'm probably equally as excited and somewhat nervous about the plenary that was my bright idea, which is plenary 3. We opened Thursday with that, which is what should advice look like in 2030. We are really a big call out at the moment for those that would like to ask questions. This is going to look a little bit like the Q&A program that the ABC hosts. Adam Spencer, our MC, is going to ask some really big thought leaders and some practicing advisors what they think advice should look like without the constraints of the current world of legislation and compliance that we live in. What does a client actually want to see in the advice? And is that the digital SOA, or is it going to go somewhere further than that? And I think that we've got a lot further that we can go in terms of using our professional judgment to deliver advice. So I'm calling out now, if anyone has any questions or an issue they'd like us to address and debate on stage, please either contact me directly through LinkedIn, through this messaging service, or through the FPA. We'd like to record your questions. We'd like, or have you ask those questions in person at the event. We're pretty excited about that.
Now, Ben, just on the technology, they can do it below, right? So if there's LinkedIn,
they can do it below, but I don't want it to be anonymous. I actually want people to be on video or in person and ask the questions and be involved in the debate. This is not just people sitting on stage talking. This is a conversation with everybody in the room. So it'll be fantastic. We've got some good questions that have come in through our other EDMs and things so far and through FPA community, but they're all been anonymous. And I want people to actually stand by their questions and really challenge us about what advice should look like going forward.
Look,
so Mark's added the link if you want to do it anonymously. But if, as Marissa said, you'd like to ask a question in person, which is what we're hoping to do, just add them in the comments, and then we'll reach out to you directly and get you to record the videos.
That session, Marissa, I'm looking forward to, because there will be some controversial comments, right? No doubt. And there'll be, I'm sure there'll be people sitting in the audience going, that person's off their rocker. But we're going to have practitioners there. We're going to have data scientists there. We're going to have thought leaders there. And if you agree with everything, there's probably something going wrong, right? There should be something controversial, but it should be enlightening, and there should be, lots of things to take away. And I always say, even with a session like that, if you can walk away with this one thing that you're going to go and change in your business or how you operate, it's a successful session.
But the other really good thing about this is that, Ben will be in the room, and we're really interested in what does the next policy platform for the FPA look like? Are there ideas that come out of this debate or this discussion that Ben can actually build into the next things that the FPA go and use their powerful advocacy positions on? So I'm just burdening Ben with more work here.
I was going to say, Marissa, like, I haven't even finished delivering this current one, and you're already asking me to move on to the next one.
I've always been forward-looking.
Yeah.
I've always been forward-looking. You know that, Ben.
Forward. Well, it's interesting. We were talking about advice in 2030, right, Marissa? So our current policy platform is a 2020 to 2025 platform.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we're going to have to build a platform at some point from 25 to 30.
Exactly. So it's one of those last legacies of the current policy platform. We got 9 of the 10 up of the one before this. Let's see if we can get all of this one up, and then let's be really bold in what we need to advocate for. The counter of that is that let's hope there's nothing we need to advocate for because they've finally got all this, reform right. But, I won't go.
Well, just on that, I mean, you asked me before about the session. So I mean, there's other parts of Congress which talk about, the regulatory landscape that we're in and our profession at large. And the first session is going to be with Michelle Levy just after the first plenary. I must admit, I'm really looking forward to seeing what she has to say. Michelle's always been really open, and really upfront with what her thoughts are and backs them up. So I'm really interested to see, we've all read the proposal paper. What's changed? Maybe nothing's changed. Has she been influenced or whatever since then? So I think that's going to be really eye-opening, because the quality of advice review as it stands, this is not tinkering at the edges. This is some significant changes to how we engage with our clients. So I'm really interested to hear from her as well in that space.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And Ben, apart from the sessions that you're starring in, Ben, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, you haven't done me any favors, Marissa, in adding me to sessions, because that means I can't attend some of the others.
They're recorded, Ben. They're recorded. You'll be able to watch them later.
Well, I was looking at some of them that say they're not recorded, so I'm going to have to get there in person. The Michelle Levy one, I think is going to be interesting. But to be honest, I've lived and breathed this for the last 2 years. So I'm wondering if I go to it or skip it. Because I think the other 2 sessions on at that time, the how to ensure all clients are profitable, has some fascinating and very smart people presenting in that session, but also the future of advice delivery session, which, if you can't make it to the video SOA workshop the day before, I know that's going to feature in that session as well. The technology session that I'm involved in straight after Michelle's session, I think, we've got some really smart speakers on there, and I think we've got some controversial speakers as well, and some disagreements that might happen with from differences of opinion. So that one could be interesting. And then to round out day one, I think, I've had a lot of conversations with Fraser Jack about the cybersecurity issue at the moment. I'm actually going to a session this afternoon with ASIC on cybersecurity, and I think, it's impossible to underestimate how much you need to be considering the security of your client's data. So I think that one is critically important as well. I think by day 2, I'm going to be struggling. And so I'm looking to sitting back and just enjoying some of the sessions on day 2, and meeting with people and talking to them and getting some insights. Though if I've got I might have another session.
You've got another session on day 2, so don't struggle too much. But I was wondering if you were struggling because you were going to be in the gin bar with me at the Welcome Cocktail event.
No, I'm not a big drinker, and gin's.
Neither am I. One drink and I'm drunk, but I'll still be in the gin bar.
Yeah, not my
drunk.
Day 2, the session that I think some of you might know, but Ian Jeffrey is responsible for me getting into financial planning. He was actually my wife's lab partner when we were research scientists and going through our science degrees. And Ian got into financial planning a couple of years before I did, and then basically helped me get into this. And we'll sit there and debate who's had more successful career and gotten where we've gotten to. But Ian is absolutely phenomenal at life insurance, as is Cameron, who will be joining him. And I think that life insurance session on how to properly protect your clients in the current life insurance environment, particularly with everything going on with the life insurance framework, everything that Michelle's talking about in terms of life insurance commissions. That's one of the sessions that I think is going to be very, very good. Although, again, at the same time that I'm talking and leading another session. So I'll have to
You'll
watch
be able to watch the recording.
Watch the recording. Well, and I think it's probably important to point out, Marissa, I think we're recording the vast majority. There's a couple that we're not recording, but we're
That's
recording
correct.
the vast majority. But that recording is only available for those who actually attend Congress and have shared
That's
tickets.
correct.
So it's not going to
Only
be
those that
available
are
to-
registered. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Important to point out.
Yeah.
So maybe, particularly for those who are in WA and you've got a 5-hour flight home, you can. Well, it won't be ready by then.
No,
but,
it won't be
at
ready
some-
until the
at some
following week.
point-
We've got to
at
upload
some
them
point
all.
You'll be able to sit back and watch it and go through the sessions that you didn't get to attend. I mentioned before about the pick-me-up, Marissa, and you mentioned the gin. I thought it might be a bit appropriate to say I was looking forward to Matt Jones and the gin at the end of day one. But anyway, you mentioned it. So look, ignoring
So it's
the gin.
not just about gin, his session.
No, it's
His
branding,
session is
right?
actually about branding and marketing and your presence in the marketplace. And in fact, that's one of the plenaries where I really did get quite emotional about it, because I was expecting it to be a lot more business orientated, and it talks about how you position your business and the services you deliver, but he really did get quite raw on some of the things. So I think it's going to be just a stellar session. I'm really looking forward to that, and he's been wonderful to work with, Matt, so that's great. Bit of silence.
I was just going to say the other technical session I was looking forward to, Ben. I think you're talking about the insurance one, but I think straight after in that same stream was the one on disability. And how we as advisors deal with that, new learnings, a refresher in some cases, which I think back to an old mentor of mine who used to talk about aha moments. And sometimes you have aha moments, which is, I've forgotten about that, and now it's refreshed me. And then sometimes you have it like, that's something brand new. I wasn't aware of that. So I think that's in terms of the space that I deal in. It certainly could be a great deal of learning in there. So,
and in fact, that's kind of almost the briefing, Dave, that we've put into place. What we've tried in these technical sessions, because Congress needs to be a balance between wellness and wellbeing and broad learning and technical sessions. But we've asked in the technical sessions to approach it from a different angle, to give us, to really challenge the way we normally think. So we'll get more of those aha moments that might come out of it.
But I'll be honest. William and I have been judging the AFP of the Year Award sessions just over the last couple of days, actually, and doing the interviews. And I won't share any state secrets and talk about who's won or not won. But what I would say is William's thinking around, disability and thinking about some of the issues that go around disability, some of the ethical dilemmas in that space are eye-opening. And I think there's a lot of value in just hearing William talk about some of the things he's thinking about, some of the things that he's seeing out there, some of the ways that he helps clients who are being taken advantage of in very vulnerable states. I think there's a lot of value in that session if you want to be thinking about how you better support your communities, how you better support your clients in a lot of areas. So, that's another one that I think will be very eye-opening for a lot of members.
And it's a classic case then of peers learning from peers, right? So this is a practitioner doing it day in, day out. And even if you don't work in the disability space like Will does, we all have clients who are getting older, and all of a sudden you're making that call of, what, do we need the power of attorney coming in now? And I think we've all been through that experience. And is it today? Is it in 6 months' time? When is it? And so a lot to take out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dave, that it links straight back into the first opening plenary, which you and Sarah will be involved in. But our keynote speaker there is Professor Scott, and he is all about the 100-year life. And I think that really challenges the advice thing. So there's some themes, even though the topics might look quite different in the workshops, the themes are quite similar in some of the challenges that we'll face as we are dealing with clients as they get older, or clients that have got who are vulnerable to poor advice. Yeah.
The 100-year life, Marissa, I'm hoping it might be the only century I make, because I wasn't much of a batsman. So that's fingers crossed I can raise the bat, although I still have to get to 50 first. So we'll. Yeah,
that's right. And you're going to have to work a whole lot harder to put a whole lot of money aside. But, the question is, if we're living to 100, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep working longer, or are we going to have hobbies? I mean, my hobby this year has been Congress. So what's going to be my new hobby?
Well, it's interesting, Marissa. I mean, I'm sure you have it with your clients as well. As they're approaching retirement, you have that conversation. Okay, the money's okay. You're going to be financially okay. Well, what are you going to do? You're working 40 hours a week, plus, getting ready and getting to work. It's probably 55 hours a week you've got to fill, and you've got to fill it meaningfully. I always used to say you can't stay at home watching, Sally Jessy Raphael, but someone reminded me the other day that she hasn't been on for 20 years. So I do have to update my daytime talk show when I give that example. But I had a client come in just this week, and he's an anaesthetist, and he'd spent a bit of time not working due to COVID lockdowns, etc. And he goes, I had a real eye-opening moment about what you've been talking about, which is I had nothing to do. And so he's got another couple of years of work, but he's really madly trying to work out, okay, what are my hobbies? What am I going to do to fill in that 100-year life? So, yeah, really looking forward to that session as well.
Yeah, well, I need to do that myself because I need to develop some hobbies. I'm a long way from retirement. I don't think I'm going to be one of the people that leaves soon, but nonetheless, I've got to start getting some hobbies into play. Wendy's just put a really interesting comment.
I can vouch for Lego.
Yeah, no, you love Lego. Wendy's just put a really good comment in, and I should have brought this up earlier, but we've got the full AFA and FPA board there. So if any people have questions at Congress about the merger, they don't want to ask them in a public forum, they want to have a one-on-one discussion with the directors of both organisations, they will be there, and they'll be at the FPA stand all the way through Congress. So it'd be a great opportunity if you've got some questions to ask, and there'll be more and more information that will be released prior to that as well. So that's good.
Yeah, thanks for that, Marissa. Yeah, absolutely. And at that stand, there'll be a roster effectively. So there'll always be an AFA or an FPA board member, AFA and FPA board member at the stand at all times. You can go and grab them, have a quiet chat, ask all the questions. I think we sent out an email yesterday just with an update on the merger and the timelines and all those sorts of things. But sometimes it's just little gremlin-y stuff that you want to ask and get clarity on. Ask it. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We're really passionate about making this happen. And for those, if you are watching, if you're AFA members, if you don't know, you can come to Congress at member rates as well. That's a reciprocal benefit. FPA members can go to the AFA conference. AFA members can come to the FPA Congress as well. So I believe a code was sent around to all AFA members.
It was sent around in email. It did appear at LinkedIn for a while, but I think it's changed now. So yes, but it's been sent out by the AFA to their members so they can register at FPA member rate.
So, if AFA coming along.
Sorry?
And that includes the video SOA workshop the day before too.
Great.
So if you're an AFA member, come along and ask a question as well. Happy to answer anything from that perspective. It's going to be, this could potentially, and hopefully if the members vote that way and see the value that both boards do, this could be the last FPA Congress called the FPA Congress.
Exactly. And it's a lovely way to finish because it'll be our 30th birthday. So we're going to celebrate 30 years. In fact, this morning I was just scanning some documents that from the IAFP that was one of the bodies that formed the FPA 30 years ago. So we're just trying to build a bit of a timeline for the opening plenary, and I had some data that we could share, and it brought back a whole lot of memories. So it'd be great to actually then go out with a bang this year and then have a unified event next year for the new body, of which we'll all be members of.
I'm looking forward to it, Marissa, mainly because I don't get to go to too many 30th birthdays anymore. They're usually a fair bit older, the birthdays I get invited to. I don't get to all the young ones anymore, so if nothing else.
See, I'm doing 30th birthdays and weddings with the friends of my kids now. So, I've moved to the other end, but I'm doing 70th birthdays at the other end. That makes me sound very old. I'm not quite. Anyway, I'm married to a very old man.
The one thing we need to do is celebrate how far we've come in that 30 years as well. And I know there's some work that you're doing, Marissa, really strongly around, showing that history, and I'll certainly be speaking to it as well. But, we have such an amazing alumni of people over that 3 decades. It's and it really does need to be, celebrated. I think about when I started, which is, nearly 20 years ago, and from, the progress since then. I can only imagine the progress that we've had in the last 30 years. And Marissa, as a former chair and as a current chair myself, I always say we stand on the shoulders of others and the giant work that they've done, both chairs and CEOs in the past. So, and members, of course. So I'm just really, really looking forward to sitting back after that, after the was it the first break, having a 30th birthday morning tea. Like any morning tea in the office, you have to bring the cakes and the drinks and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be there to celebrate
Correct.
In that first break.
Yeah. First morning tea. So looking forward to that. Okay, so that's probably, I mean, I've got every session I love. I've been involved in the briefings of absolutely every session that's going on in Congress. I can't encourage you more to attend if you haven't registered. If you've registered, really have a look on the FPA website at the program and work out what your key sessions are. Certainly there'll be people to guide you. Most of the FPA team will actually be at Congress, so they'll be able to help you, guide you into the sessions that are worthwhile. But I cannot believe we're so close and that we've got 1,000 people coming to celebrate really the value of advice. It's all about the value that we deliver as financial planners, the value the FPA delivers to us as members in supporting us to make a difference in our clients' lives. So, it's going to be a great November.
So just a reminder of the 2 call outs. One, if you haven't registered so far, register now, and we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks when you join 1,000 of your peers. And also for that plenary 3, we want those questions. What should advice look like in 2030? So get those questions into LinkedIn or YouTube, or, as I said, clearly I'm not the tech guy, which is why Ben's here. But we want those questions and we want to ask them on stage, because the more questions we get, we're going to get better response and it's going to be a better session.
Absolutely. This session's for you and what you want or believe advice should look like going forward. We want big picture thinking. Otherwise, we'll just get Ben's thinking, which is not bad, but it would be great to have a broader audience.
Thanks, Marissa. If anybody wants
my drive-by, Marissa, I like that.
If anyone wants my opinion, I'll be at the FPA stand for most of Congress or in the podcast studio.
Oh, yes, we haven't talked about the podcast. We've got a fabulous podcast that's running all the way through Congress, and that content will be available during the event and also afterwards. So we're doing that with Fraser. Fraser's our star, but also we've partnered with XY Advisor to deliver the content out. So we're pretty excited about that as well. Most of our speakers are going to be involved in some way with the podcast.
Perfect.
Okay. That's probably it from me.
That's it.
Thank you.
So you're all Congress 2 weeks, Marissa. 14 days. Let the countdown begin.
Well, I think I'll see you a bit before that, because we've got some rehearsals to make sure you're looking sharp on stage. See what I did there?
No pun intended.
Okay. Bye, guys. It's lovely to talk to you.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Wait.